lost count. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's event here at the Sonoma Raceway first road course of the Cyber Thunder Racing League 2025-2 season. And let's jump out on track right here. We got our drivers just wrapping up practice as we've got a little under 10 minutes remaining here in this practice session. Watching Cody Gibson, driver of the #1 truck, head around the track. Previous winner in New Hampshire, two-time winner on the season as well. And currently atop the board is not Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson sits second on the board. Atop of the board is Greg Mitchell, the other two-time winner of the season so far, driver of the 55, and the current points leader. And speaking of the points leader, speaking of all of the drivers that we've got to look forward to this night here, tonight here in Sonoma, I should say, we could take a look real quick at the power rankings, which I kind of spoiled just a minute ago when I loaded us in. But here we have it. Here's our power rankings. Go over this for fun. I don't show this too often on the broadcasts here, but this is something that we do every week for the Tuesday Night Thunder series. And currently, points leader Greg Mitchell sits on top. Cody Gibson, with his second win of the season in New Hampshire, jumps all the way up to second in the power rankings headed into this evening's event. Andrew Caldwell, Rick Thompson, two names that I do not believe we are going to see on track tonight, could not make tonight's race. Gary Bowman currently sits fourth on the board. Tanner Marr is, I believe, just inside the top 10. No, Tanner Marr is fifth. Wow, jumped up there just a little bit. Brad Holmes got a little bit of work to do. Matt Semple sitting in third on the timing board right now. Eric Anderson showing some speed in the top 10, and Ed Jurgen as well in seventh place, a good road course racer. But there's our power rankings after New Hampshire, 5 races into the season. Not to be confused with the point standings. A little bit different. This is more momentum based from a week-to-week basis on where I put these drivers and who I think has got the ball rolling the most. So tonight, there's going to be an opportunity for Greg Mitchell to run away, securing that first place spot a little bit more, or if Cody Gibson can get up there and disrupt what's going on, maybe Cody Gibson can make a run at P1 in the power rankings. But as these drivers make their way around track, we've got, of course, as always, my co-host Tom Richter in the booth with me to call tonight's race.
Well, good evening, my friend Arie, and good evening, race fans. Welcome to Sonoma Raceway out west from California. Arie, we've seen a whole lot of oval racing throughout the first 5 races of the season. First time these drivers are taken to both left and right turns, and we've got some elevation changes to go along with it, and about 22 gear changes a lap.
That's right, 22 gear changes is quite a bit, and I tell you what, this is, not only is this a track that we don't go to very often here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, but this is also a freshly repaved surface here in the Sonoma Raceway, and from the drivers in practice this past hour or so, I have been hearing nothing but loose, 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 and these tires are screaming. So it should be a real interesting battle tonight between driver and track for each one of our drivers behind the wheel tonight.
Yeah, it absolutely will, and you know, this is also the first time that the Craftsman Truck Series will be out here. We've seen the next-gen cars come out here. We've taken the Gen 6 Old Cup cars come out here, and we've taken even the Xfinity cars out to Sonoma. But in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, we've never seen the Silverados and the Tundras and the F-150s on this 11-turn circuit.
I think it's pretty exciting. It's going to be an interesting challenge, you know, having 2 weeks in a row of very much an unknown challenge ahead of these drivers last week in New Hampshire and now for a road course in Sonoma. I think we've got a real fun way to kind of have this this early to mid part of the season unfold. And it is, after all, it is my favorite road course on the NASCAR schedule. So I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit.
couple of minutes remaining out here in open practice. Just about 4 minutes remain. As we go into tonight, Arie, obviously we talk about road course ringers and we talk about drivers that kind of excel at certain different tracks. When you go to a short track, you're thinking of drivers like Tanner Marr, Larry Bell, you're thinking of Andrew Caldwell. When you go to a super speedway, obviously we saw Eric Anderson win with Leroy Koblenz finishing, I think it was 4th for the number 42, for the 42 for Leroy. When you come to a road course, there's one name in particular that sticks out to me, and that's driver 55, Greg Mitchell.
All right, sorry about that, Tom. I had to step away for a moment if I missed anything imperative there.
Road course ringers, Greg Mitchell, and drivers excelling.
Yes, Greg Mitchell, and more Greg Mitchell when it comes to road courses. I tell you what, Tom, I was just looking at the stats a minute ago. Greg Mitchell is still undefeated when it comes to road course racing here at Cyber. Now, Greg has participated in 3 so far in his time in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, so it's not a big sample size, though it has been 3 different tracks. Greg showed up, got his first one, I believe, at Road America. He won a race at COTA, and most recently, he won a race at Canadian Tire. So, Greg knows how to do it. That's actually not the all-time record of 5 for 5, but Greg's got a good chance to get one step closer tonight.
Well, Arie, we got about 2.5 minutes remaining out here in practice. Is it fair for me to ask you? Let's do some picks out here tonight. If Greg Mitchell has some misfortune out here tonight, who's your backup? Who is the next best road course racer out here tonight that has the best chance of capitalizing in a moment like that to take a checkered flag?
I think it's a really interesting point, Tom, and you know, I could just go next on the board of practice times and say Cody Gibson, but I tell you what, you know, there's a good chunk of names up there that you kind of come to expect different things out of. I think when it comes to road course racing, as fast as we can see guys like Cody Gibson or Matt Semple even be at times, I feel like road course racing is all about consistency, and the first driver I see on that board who screams consistency is driver number 8, Gary Bowman. So I would put my money on Gary Bowman, driver the number 8, to pick up any pieces that Greg might leave behind.
That's fair. I mean, Gary, anytime you come to a road course here, if you can keep it between the left curb and the right curb and keep it on the pavement, that's going to be 90% of the battle. And you know what? I don't know if I'm allowed to agree with you, but I think I would probably agree with picking Gary Bowman as a solid podium finisher out here tonight. But what do you say, Arie? We got just about a minute remaining out here in open practice. We're going to go ahead and throw this track side for tonight's ceremonies, and we'll be back for your full 10-minute qualifying.
All right, back just in time for qualifying to begin here in the desert, not really desert, in the dirt-covered hills of the Sonoma Valley. We've got Matt Semple, driver of the 16, going to be the first driver we're following with on track.
Yep, Matt Semple comes out. Other drivers out on track right now. Corey Sherman, Phil Van Vliet, Cody Gibson, driver of the #1 truck, got 2 wins on the season already out here through the first 5 races as we work race number 6 out here this evening. Arie, we were talking a little bit ago. Race is 42 laps. Our stages are the end of lap number 10 and the end of lap number 20. A fuel run here is approximately 20 to 22 laps. Kind of leaves the window open for strategy out here this evening.
It does. I think we're going to see a lot of different strategy. I think, you know, the argument of stage points versus track position is going to be maybe the biggest thing that we have to keep an eye on strategy-wise. You know, you and I talked about it a little earlier, but we might, it might have been you I talked to with it, but regardless, you know, we might see people pitting way earlier than they need to, just to run in clean air. It's so easy to have your lap time stalled out when you're in a pack of cars and you can't really get by them. This isn't like an oval, Tom. You can't just find a different line. You very much have to line everyone up, and you have to be very meticulous about how you go about passes or even defending. So getting yourself in clean air by pitting a little off sequence could be a play for a couple drivers.
It could be a play for a couple of drivers. And I think there's maybe 2 types of drivers that it would benefit. Drivers that don't necessarily need stage points because they're well up inside the top 10 in the points coming up tonight. You think about drivers like Tanner Marr, Cody Gibson, Greg Mitchell, Gary Bowman, right? They've got a solid spot inside of our playoffs right now through the first 5 races of this season. And then I also think the second group of drivers that may try a strategy like that, maybe drivers that expect to run well here tonight, but don't get the qualifying run here in these next 10 minutes that they were hoping to get.
That's absolutely right, and it's going to take us a while to see the first times shoot up on the board. It is a very long track, but to your point that you made just now, Tom, I think that's a great point. If I'm a driver who expects to come out here and have top 5, top 3 speed, I think I'll be willing to sacrifice the stage points if I end up qualifying 12th or 15th. I think I want to put myself in the best position to try and win the race itself, even if it means sacrificing those stage points, if I'm confident enough in my ability, of course.
A couple of drivers coming across, make it 6, make it 7, make it 8 drivers and more coming across the complete lap number 1 as Greg Mitchell comes across the start-finish line. We will see where Greg comes across the line. I see a lot of purple underneath his name. That tells me we can expect to see the 55 to the top of the board, and yes, he does go there. Other drivers out on track right now, Mike Stiverson, Gary Bowman, Larry Bell, Jason Raymond, all drivers making their way out on track.
That's right, and I feel it necessary to kind of touch on what we're seeing on the bottom of the screen. Not something we see in the stock car racing world all that often, but the colors are divided into 4 segments. The track itself is divided into 4 segments. If you see a green segment, that means it's that driver's personal best time through a segment. If you see yellow, that means they have beaten that time before. If you see purple, that means they went faster in that segment than anyone else has up to that point.
Well, Greg's bar was purple across the board.
Oh, I believe it. I've driven behind Greg Mitchell on a road course before. I've seen everything I need to see.
Other drivers completing their lap. Matt Semple just completes his 2nd lap on the board. Matt Semple currently holds on to 2nd place. Greg Mitchell about to complete his 2nd lap. Ed Jurgen, Gary Bowman about to complete their 2nd lap as well. Cody Gibson comes across the line 5th for his qualifying run. 2 laps down and away for about 3/4 of the field right here so far, Arie. We still have quite a few drivers working their 2nd laps.
That we do. Everyone kind of getting their laps completed at different timings and whatnot. So far, the time to beat is a 1:16.75 as per my timing scoring. Maybe a little different on screen, but needless to say, Greg's got it on lock. As Ed Jurgen is sitting comfortably in P3 at the moment. Great lap from Mr. Jurgen.
Lee Campbell, first time across the board, was good enough for 14th in that number 60 truck and that Ford F-150 of Lee Campbell. I don't think Lee has enough credit given to him throughout the course of the early parts of 25-2-1, whatever season we're in. Lee Campbell, oh so close at Nashville Super Speedway. just 300 feet or even less short of his first career win. Think about Lee, and we think about short tracks, and we think about maybe like intermediates like Las Vegas and Nashville and Michigan. But Lee is sitting about mid-pack right now in 15th. A couple of weird strategies out of this 60 truck could put him in contention for a solid top 5.
It absolutely could, and Lee is definitely, I don't know, is Lee officially the quietest driver in Cyber? I feel like Caldwell kind of had that title, but I think Lee's starting to make a case for it, and he's just solid, consistent, quiet, and by the way, the paint scheme that Lee has showed up to Sonoma with, that's one of the best paint schemes I've seen this week.
Clicking over here to Dustin Ping, saw he had a really good Sector 1. Good enough for second on the board for driver number 81, Dustin Ping. Knocks Matt Semple off of the provisional front row here, as we have about 3.5 minutes remaining out here in open qualifying. Tanner Marr is completing his second lap as he comes out of turn number 11. See where that number 4 truck is able to come across the board. Good enough for 8th for Tanner Marr.
Hey, that's going to be, I think Tanner will be fairly happy with that follow-up. He was maybe a little quicker in practice, but he's one of the drivers I talked to in that practice hour, and Tanner had his eyes set firmly on staying on the power rankings, but also on staying on track tonight as his method of climbing up some positions and getting some good points out of tonight's race.
Driver that we haven't seen in a couple of weeks, Theodore Todorov. Out of, where did he say he was from?
Bulgaria, I think.
Bulgaria, yep. Our international driver out of the country of Bulgaria, halfway across the world. Believe it's about 4 a.m. there. Theodore joined the Cyber Thunder Racing League ranks earlier this season and has been here for most of our races. So always good to see new drivers getting involved.
That it is, and really cool to see drivers from more broadly across the world. Always very cool to meet people from wherever they might be from, and to introduce them into what we're doing in our little cyber family.
Second time across the board for driver number 17, Theodore, is going to be good enough for 23rd on the board, as I believe the only other driver yet to complete their full 2 qualifying laps. A couple of them had issues on their second qualifying lap, but Mackenzie Milwain in the number 21 did complete his first lap but did not score a time, so that tells me that he put those tires off in the dirt and it disallowed the time on that 21.
Yep, iRacing very strict about any incidents during qualifying. Gotta have a perfect lap, and you can't use the wall or the dirt to do so. See if Mackenzie can get a better lap put in this time. Definitely hustling that truck for all it's worth, getting real squirrely.
Something new about turn 11 out here tonight, Arie, with the rescan of Sonoma Raceway. That wall down there in turn 11 used to just be barrels. Now the opportunity for mistakes through turn 11. If there's a mess down there, there's not a whole lot of room to work.
That's absolutely correct, and it's going to be a lot less forgiving if you're trying to take that hairpin as tight as possible. And before you could edge your nose into those barrels or those tires, and you might get away with it. But now that's a concrete wall. You're not going to want to hit your the right front of your truck on that part.
Something I find interesting here, Arie. Qualifying has concluded. All drivers have completed their laps, but Greg Mitchell still continuing to run his laps here. I wonder if we're going to see a pit road entry here. No, not quite a pit road entry, but there's no harm in running additional laps in your qualifying. They just won't count towards your timing and scoring.
That's absolutely correct, and Greg fancying a little bit more practice here, warming up, getting ready. Wants to, this shows me that Greg's showing up to Sonoma with this circled maybe 5 times over. Greg is here to show out, to keep his winning streak alive in road courses, and to lock down his 3rd win of the season. All right, qualifying is a wrap, and we turn our attention to what will be 42 laps of action here at the Sonoma Raceway. A little overcast, so we'll see how that affects track temps and all the likes. But what do you say, Tom? We get ready to look at our grid here.
I think it's about time. It's about that time on a Tuesday night that we go racing for race number 6 of 23 of the Cyber Thunder Racing League out here this evening. Greg Mitchell and Dustin Ping going to be starting on your front row. Row number 2 going to be made up of Matt Semple and Ed Jurgen. The top 5 made up by Gary Bowman. Cody Gibson, already a 2-time winner in this season, starts 6th on the board, followed by Chris Mackey, a driver out of 5 Kings Motorsports, and a teammate, Tanner Marr, to his outside as well. And the top 10 is rounded out by Eric Anderson and Lee Campbell.
Starting just outside the top 10 is going to be Larry Bell in 11th alongside Peter Renegar, new name that we're seeing join the Cyber Thunder Racing League. We've got Brad Holmes in 13th alongside Leroy Koblenz in 14th. P15 going to be Corey Sherman, driver of the number 3 alongside teammate Philip Van Vliet in the 89. Dwayne Young, driver of the 48, will start us off in 17th alongside Mike Stiverson in that 20 truck. Rounding out the top 20, it's going to be Mackenzie Milwane and Jason Raymond, another first-timer.
And rounding out our field of 29 drivers out here tonight, Steven Music in the 09 Chevy Silverado starts 21st out here tonight. Got Logan Spencer to his outside. Andy Cork, as a driver out of Graybeard Motorsports, starts 23rd with Theodore Todorov in 24th. Amanda Sherman, Jaden Wicks is the top 26. Casey Tomlinson, and the drivers that elected not to take time out here tonight in qualifying, Carter Lawson and David Gainforth.
All right, 29 drivers ready to take on Sonoma Raceway. 29 drivers is a lot for a track like Sonoma, and I couldn't be more excited. It is my favorite road course, after all.
Well, as these drivers come up through the gears, we're going to see all these drivers get ready to go racing out here this evening. They broke out the big bucks. We broke out the Porsche out here this evening as we see Dustin Ping trying to make his way up to the start of the field here. Not sure if Dustin maybe had an issue getting that truck fired, but Dustin Ping getting up to the front row where he qualified 2nd on the board out here this evening.
2nd on the board, and this isn't the first time, might not be the last time we see the likes of Mitchell and Ping battling it out up front on a road course. I like that we whipped out the big bucks for the Porsche. And Tom, we got to do this more often. Get some fancier cars pacing the field.
We'll check the wallet and see how that that works. But you want to talk about a difficult section of track, Arie? These S's right here, they are no easy set of corners to navigate through.
No, they are not. And S's make up a good part of any solid road course. So it takes a very specific approach, an approach that you oftentimes can't really apply to a lot of other track types. So it's I think Sonoma is a really good all-around challenge as a road course and for a driver, and that's part of why I like it so much.
See the field of 29 drivers making their way through the exit of the S's. They're all going to see turn number 10 and the hairpin, the classic hairpin here at Sonoma Raceway. It's time to go racing out here on a Tuesday night. Let's go racing road course style from Sonoma Raceway. Arie, bring us to the green flag.
Well, we've got an elongated wait as the drivers wait to get into the restart zone and get that green flag. Everyone going to bunch back up out of the hairpin and smash on that loud pedal because it's go time. And Greg Mitchell, Dustin Ping will lead us up the hill and into turn 1.
Into turn number 1, watch for different braking zones from drivers. Watch for drivers trying to make sure that they don't have any sort of incidental contact with another driver. Can't win a race on lap number 1. That's the oldest saying in motorsports, but you can certainly lose it.
You absolutely can, and wow, I am extremely proud of this field of drivers, of about 30 drivers making it through turn 1 without a single incident. That was great, and we can see right now Dustin Ping, having started P2, gets the jump on Greg Mitchell on lap 1 going up the hill, has the lead, and now puts the onus on Greg to go up there and take it.
Greg Mitchell putting all the heat on the back of the number 81. As you can see, Dustin working the curbs. You're going to see the drivers working the curbs all night long, and well, when you hit those curbs, it really kind of upsets the car and it kind of throws you sideways, but it's the fast way around.
It absolutely is, and A big part of road course racing, especially in a stock car, is balancing how much curb you elect to take versus how steady you want to drive this thing. But we see into the hairpin for the first time, Dustin Ping with Greg Mitchell hot on his tail. We got a little gap to the 16, a little gap to the 92, but all of these drivers getting themselves sorted out. We see a pass going on further back here. That's going to be the 21 around the 42. That's Millway around Koblenz. And for the most part, everyone's kind of spread out.
Everybody kind of makes their way through. Dustin Ping going to lead lap number 1 of 42. Very short stages out here tonight in terms of number of laps that they need to run. But in terms of mileage and how long these 10 laps are going to take, these 10 laps are going to take forever for these drivers before we hand out the first batch of stage points.
Oh, they absolutely will, especially as everyone's trying to figure it out, get control of the car, see what everyone around them wants to do. The first 10 laps of a road course race are oftentimes the hardest and the most challenging for sure. So a lot of drivers looking forward to when we get to about that 10-lap mark, get those first stage points paid out. We've got quite a cluster going on back here. We're looking at the battle for about P20 or so. We've got, make it 19. We've got Logan Spencer, Philip Van Vliet. We're on board with Mike Stuyvesant as we head down towards the S's.
Mike Stuyvesant going to follow Logan Spencer down the hill through the S's, and you can see him following the curbs, but Phil Van Vliet gets a good run through the S's as Dustin Ping has opened up about a half-second lead over second place Greg Mitchell. Matt Semple and company behind him in the top 5, about 2 seconds behind them as we've got a look down on the inside from Jaden Wicks in the 0-2.
That we do to the inside of this newly tightened section of the track with the reconfiguration. Jaden Wicks is going to have the advantage on Mike Stuyvesant around the outside here. Mike looking to fight back. Oh, into the wall goes the 0-2. Looks like everyone's going to survive that little encounter right there and live to fight another day as we begin lap 3.
And Mike Stuyvesant makes his way up the hill following the 0-2. Chevy Silverado of Jaden Wicks. Other battles happening out on track right now. Lee Campbell currently on the back half of the top 10 right now, trying to hang on or move his way forward. Started 10th on the board for driver number 60. Under fire from series newcomer Peter Renegar, right behind him in 11th.
Yeah, Lee having a really good start to the race this evening. Another driver who's having a pretty good start, I want to pull our attention to Chris Mackey running in 8th. Currently down 1 spot from where he qualified, but that's a driver who we haven't gotten to see too many flashes out of so far this season. One of our rookies in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, and so far here in Sonoma, having a pretty good showing alongside some of his 5 Kings Motorsports teammates in Tanner Marr and Cody Gibson.
Yeah, Chris started 7th on the board and currently runs 8th as these drivers work lap number 4 of 42 out here tonight for the Bear Flag Rebellion 200 from Sonoma Raceway. You want to talk about battles out on track right now? I mean, we go up to the front of the field. Everybody's kind of settled down up towards the front of the field a little bit. Still a battle for the race lead. They're about maybe a little bit under half a second apart. But you got Carter Lawson battling Andy Cork back here. These drivers were just up on each other just a minute ago. Andy Cork maybe a couple of car lengths back off of this 98. Carter's had some bad luck throughout our season here, the first 5 races.
Yeah, I would put Carter in the category of maybe unluckiest driver of the season so far, if there was an award. Just seems to be, getting trouble finds Carter. Carter doesn't find trouble, I feel like, is what's going on so far this season. So looking for a good turnaround for Mr. Lawson to get some good momentum on his side and get that unmistakable truck a little further up in the field. Can't miss it.
Yeah, good start to him for the race. Currently running in 24th. But was one of the 2 drivers who elected not to take a qualifying time. Let's not forget that about Carter Lawson. Currently runs in 24th. One of the biggest movers of the night. Only other driver who has improved more positions than Carter is Jaden Wicks in that number 0-2 that we saw battling Mike Stuyvesant just a couple of laps ago. But back up front, Dustin Ping has opened up about a 3/4 of a second lead over road course ringer Greg Mitchell.
That's right, and I'm pretty fascinated by Dustin's ability to hold on so far, but if there's one thing we know about Greg, he knows how to manage tires on a road course. I am getting word, Tom, that Theodore Todorov might have had an incident a lap or so ago and dropped down a couple of positions. I'm not sure if we can queue up something for that.
Let's take a look and see if we can't find Theodore real quick. Coming into turn number, is this turn number 11 here?
Yeah.
And he's just going to put a little bit too much power down. Gets very lucky there to avoid the wall.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty good recovery from Theodore.
Let's take one more look from Theodore here, and we will go on board. And you hear the throttle. And goes away mostly unscathed. And I mean, he only lost one spot.
Yeah, just a little, as we jump on board with the leaders, Dustin Ping sideways out of turns 1 and 2 on the hill there. That's going to bring Greg Mitchell right up to the rear bumper, and boy, did we come back at a good time. Greg Mitchell has some daylight.
Well, there's not a whole lot of daylight between the front and the back bumper of driver number 55 and Dustin Ping right now. You see Greg Mitchell giving him the juice as they enter into the turn, into the S's down here past turn number 7. Now it's all downhill from here, and watch the difference between Greg Mitchell and Dustin Ping here. See if we can see an advantage for either one of these two drivers. Looks like they're staying about even right now. Dustin had maybe a little bit better entry to the S's, but Greg maybe had a little bit better center of the S's.
Yeah, and Greg exited that section phenomenally, closed up that gap, has a look to the inside. Dustin Ping's got to go defensive, somehow does not lock up the tires. I was expecting a lot of smoke out of the 81 there, but fantastic work from Dustin Ping to get it slowed down. And through a lot of the S's, Tom, one of the things I noticed was that Greg kept that truck settled on corner entry for each of those little turns throughout the S's. Greg kept that truck planted, and he was able to make up speed from middle to exit of each of those little runs, whereas Dustin felt a little more out of control and a little more on edge.
Well, drivers going to be working through their first round of lap traffic out here tonight as Dustin Ping makes his way around the number 52 of Casey Tomlinson, and I believe Dave Gainforth is not too far in front of them. So lap traffic is going to be a difficult thing for these drivers to work their way through, and we will see if either one of these drivers makes a misstep coming through this lap traffic. They got pretty lucky there not to catch them in the S's.
That they did, and it looks like the first bit of lap traffic is done. Tom, I think we've had some more incidents. Brad Holmes with an issue, Jaden Wicks with an issue as well. A couple drivers further back as we're watching what's going on with the race leaders. Having some issues a little further back. Andy Cork might have been involved by the looks of it with some significant damage.
All right, let's take a look here. Not sure if it's the same incident or separate incidents here. Looks like the leaders are going to be able to settle down just long enough that we can take a look first at Brad Holmes here in that 00 and that double Ford F-150. Another incident very similar to Theodore's that we saw just a couple of minutes ago.
Oh,
Jaden Wicks in the 02. What happens here to
this hairpin's getting everybody.
Turn 11. Right in front of Mike Stuyvesant in that number 20 car. Now, Jaden did not have the luxury that the other two drivers had of missing the pit wall down there, or the inside wall down there. So he actually had to back that truck up to get it pointed in the right direction.
That's right. It was a good recovery from Jaden as well. I think that just leaves Andy Cork. Not sure what happened with Mr. Cork.
I don't know if this is the
there we go.
I don't know if this is the correct moment for Andy Cork, but we'll let it run here for just a second. Dustin Ping still has about a half a second points lead, and Andy Cork hard into the barrel.
Yep, that is a race ender right there. How hard that incident looked. Had to jump all the way back into the pits after that one, but no full course yellows, as has been the tradition here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. So we keep it going. We're not re-racking them. These drivers are going to the end.
So now 2 laps to go in the stage. Driver out of Austin, Texas, currently running second on the board. Driver that I think you and I very candidly expected to see walk away with an early pole run has not lit a lap out here tonight, and that's Greg Mitchell.
That's right. I think we're a little past the point where I would have expected Greg to get up there and take the lead away from Dustin. If there's one thing I've seen firsthand, Tom, racing both of these drivers on many an occasion, it's that Dustin is very quick, but he's also quick to use up his tires. And Greg is quick, but he gets quicker as a run goes on. Now, we might still be waiting to see that crossover where Greg gets an advantage on Dustin, but so far, great job from driver 81 to hold on to the lead.
Now, it's going to be an interesting call here, Arie. We said before that these drivers can go about 20 to 22 laps on a tank of fuel out here. Stage 1 has just 2 laps to go, and at next time by Dustin Ping comes across, he's going to see the white flag in the stage. No full course yellow at the end of the stage. These drivers are going to keep racing.
That's right. Gotta keep it going.
Does Greg Mitchell or Dustin Ping say, all right, I got my 10 stage points. I'm going to come down on pit road and jump you for stage 2.
You know, I think it's a good question, Tom, and I would love to have a crew chief if I'm behind the wheel to figure out the gaps, because this is something we see a lot in open wheel racing and something like F1, for example, where if you're Greg Mitchell, on paper, it makes a lot of sense to try and jump Dustin. However, if you have someone to help you calculate your pit road time and help you figure out where on the track you're going to come out, that's important, because you can't assume that you're just going to have a clean track. You could come out behind a battle for P15 with 6 or 7 drivers all in a cluster and you can't go anywhere. You could also equally come out just ahead of that battle and have 10 seconds of clear track. So I think where you come out has to be a very important factor, and if you don't have anyone sitting on top of that box to help you out, you don't have a spotter helping you out with some of the strategies, you're kind of on your own, and you can either take that gamble or you can play it safe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Arie, because if you come out in a pack of 5 or 6 or 7 or more cars, it really kind of hurts your lap times, because you're not going to be able to run these clean laps that you're running up towards the front of the field. But Dustin Ping comes through, and Dustin Ping going to win stage number 1. He's going to be the first across the line to complete stage number 1, but we are waiting on the 10th place car to come across the line. We got to wait probably about 14-15 seconds for Lee Campbell to come across.
It'll be a little bit of a wait as all of our drivers begin to cycle through, and we'll get those official stage points for you imminently. We follow along with 10th place runner Lee Campbell through the bend and across the line, and that'll seal the deal. Dustin Ping, Greg Mitchell, Matt Semple, your top 3 in stage 1. Ed Jurgen, Gary Bowman with some good points. Jump back on with the leaders right here. Cody Gibson, Tanner Marr, 6th and 7th. Chris Mackey, Eric Anderson, 8th and 9th. And the final stage point, of course, to Lee Campbell in 10th.
Now, it's going to be interesting if we were going to see that strategy play out. I think we'll see it this lap from anybody who may be on that strategy. Arie, what were you going to say? I apologize.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to say. You kind of read my mind on that, but we'll see if anything happens out of either of our race leaders here. A little look to the inside, not going to happen through the hairpin this time, but oh, Greg Mitchell's got a nose. Dustin Ping goes wide. Little bit of contact. They've got to get it evened out, but Greg Mitchell going to take the lead. As we approach lap 12, Dustin Ping could not hold on through the hairpin right there.
Take a better look at the pass for the race lead out here this evening. Greg Mitchell takes a look down to the inside on the hairpin. A little bit of contact on the exit of turn number 11, and Greg Mitchell going to lead his first lap of the evening.
That he is. Now we'll see if Dustin can do a good job to stay with Greg like Greg did with Dustin. I think there's a word for that form of racing. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but wow, Greg gets sideways. I can't believe that. I haven't seen that very often out of Greg, but you know, Greg showed that he could stay with Dustin. He could put the pressure on. Can Dustin do the same, or is Greg going to have the opportunity to walk away now? That's going to be a big question. And to go back to something that happened maybe a lap and a half ago, I think we had issues for Mike Stiverson further back in the field. Something to, I'm not sure how much it affected Mr. Stiverson. Looks like there was a little...
Yeah, going into the S's on the exit of turn number 7 here. Just gets loose. He's going to point that 20 truck in the wrong way, get it going in the right direction. Dave Gainforth gets by safely, and everybody will carry on.
Very well. Here we are then, crossing to lap 13, and look at this. Greg Mitchell has already pulled 1.5 seconds on Dustin Ping in about 1 lap's time, so that about shows you where we're at in terms of pace differential. And now that Greg Mitchell has found this clean air, he's feeling pretty comfortable, I'd say.
Working stage number 2 out here this evening is Greg Mitchell and Dustin Ping. Race leaders going to make their way around Theodore Todorov. Now, this is a bad spot for Dustin Ping to be in because Greg got through the lap traffic on the straightaway there. Dustin had to get out of the gas there a little bit and make sure there wasn't any contact between him and that blue and green truck of Theodore. Kind of just wrong place, wrong time, but at a road course, sometimes that happens.
It does happen, and I think Dustin was pretty fortunate that Theodore was very kind to the race leaders there and pulled over and out of the way as soon as he could. If Theodore had taken the S's on his normal line, that really would have hindered Dustin, but they get through it pretty good. Good heads-up racing from Theodore as we jump on board right now for the battle for P4. We've got Ed Jurgen, Gary Bowman on board with Cody Gibson, and right behind Tanner Marr and Eric Anderson. We've got quite a few cars in a row right here, Tom. I believe this is P4 all the way down through about P8, P9.
Yeah, a couple of drivers making their way through, and you know, the first 10 laps down and away as drivers see less than 30 laps to go out here tonight as these drivers work the 42-lap event out here. You see a group of 5, maybe 6 cars stringing from Ed Jurgen all the way back to Chris Mackey back there. Also see Eric Anderson up there. Eric started 9th on the board out here tonight, currently running up in the 8th position, and a top 10 at a road course is a hard thing to be upset about when you're maybe driving the 43.
It is a very hard thing to be upset about. I think Eric is showing some really good speed tonight at a road course, and we'll be happy with the start he's had so far, but of course we'll be looking for more as Gary Bowman continues to put the pressure on teammate Ed Jurgen for P4, though they are teammates and have been for quite a long time, Tom, so I don't imagine Gary's going to do anything too rash, but if that window opens, he's going to take the opportunity as these guys make their way around Casey Tomlinson, and oh, look at this, the door is opening.
Ed Jurgen going to go off the track as drivers look left, they look right into turn number 11. What happens down here? Cody Gibson takes a look down to the inside.
He's going to push Ed out of the way.
And he's going to touch the 92 as Ed Jurgen is not happy about that little bit of contact there as they all run up the hill to turn number 1.
Not happy indeed. That was quite chaotic. Gibson pushed the 92. Everyone keeps it going, though. Nobody gets into the wall. Cody Gibson does jump ahead of Gary Bowman for P5 in that kerfuffle right there. So, as I was saying a minute ago, Ed had a teammate behind him who he knew was going to take care of his rear bumper. Throw that out the window because now Cody Gibson, winner of 2 races this season, winner last week in New Hampshire, has something to go grab, and Ed Jurgen's in the way of it. So, if I'm Ed, I got to step it up just a little bit here.
Well, anytime you look in your mirror and you see this, Arie, and you see a line of cars behind you, it's like on the highway when you're in the left-hand lane, right? If there's an old saying, something along the lines of if there's more space in front of you than there is behind you, you are slower than the cars behind you. And it's very easy to see right here, right now, that Ed's got a line of about 4, maybe 5 cars directly behind him. And that's not a comfortable feeling because you start to make these little mental mistakes, thinking that you need to run a little bit faster.
Yeah, you surely do. And while we're making this point, and I think it's a good point that you're making, Ed Jurgen certainly is holding these drivers up. I don't want that to be construed with Ed Jurgen's not doing a good job because Ed Jurgen is running a phenomenal race so far and is defending at a really tremendous rate. Ed Jurgen can run in P4 and be slower than the next 5, 6, 7 drivers who he's keeping in a line, but notice that he's keeping them in a line and they're not getting around him, and that is a good job from a racecraft point of view as we watch Casey Tomlinson with an issue a little bit further back, getting into the wall, and luckily not any significant damage out of that one, just getting stuck for a little bit. But to my point about Ed Jurgen, Tom, fantastic job at defending, and that is, you know, a really big part of racing itself is attacking and defending. So, you know, you won't always be seeing the fastest driver win races, and a lot of times this is how it happens. You get a driver who knows how to defend, knows where to put his truck, and holds everyone back.
So you bring up an interesting point, Arie. Is it easier to defend at a road course, like what Ed is doing right now, even if he is using 101% of the track, or is it easier to defend at an oval? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great question. I think it's easier to defend at an oval, in all honesty, because it's so aero sensitive, and especially with you know, something like the next gen car, which I know we're racing the trucks, but the next gen car I think is a prime example, and we do see a lot of it still carry over with the trucks. On ovals, just air blocking, taking the preferred line, I think does a lot. On road courses, it's a little tricky because, you know, there is one line for the most part, but everyone's got drastically different apexes, braking points, you know, skill levels through slow corners versus medium corners versus quick corners, and there's so many elements and so many, you know, mistakes that you can make on a road course that it becomes more difficult to defend on a road course, and that's why I think it's a little bit more impressive even.
As the drivers see 26 laps to go out here, they're going to have about 6 laps remaining in this second stage. I am hearing some call-outs about drivers potentially beginning to pit here in the next lap or 2 or 3. So a little bit early, maybe drivers maybe splitting the race here in the middle, as opposed to necessarily worrying about the stages and splitting those.
Yeah, it's a good point, and something to keep an eye on for sure. I don't know if I would be pitting this early, though we do know these tires are very difficult to manage. This newly repaved surface is chewing through them quite a bit. Specifically, that front left tire, I heard from multiple drivers in practice that was a big issue. So a lot of it, Tom, could come down to, you know, I'd love to do this strategy, but my tires are saying do that strategy.
Well, let's not forget, these drivers have 5 tire changes out here tonight. We've yet to see almost anybody on pit road. Only drivers that we've seen on pit road right now, Andy Cork, after that early race contact with the inside wall, took him out of the race. Dave Gainforth actually on pit road right now. So nobody on pit road for service just yet. If I've got tires sitting down there, I want them.
Yeah, I hear you on that one, and I think especially with how much this newly reconfigured track is eating up the tires, I'd take some tires as well.
Taking a quick look back up here at the current race leader, Greg Mitchell, had a little bit of a moment there as he had to get around Casey Tomlinson, who had an off-track moment, a second off-track moment for Casey in this number 52. Now let's take a look and see if we can't see Greg coming, and we see him coming in a hurry. But both Greg and Dustin Ping get through cleanly without any sort of incidents, as it looks like is that Steven Music down there also going to be making their pass as we get back live here on track. The battle, one of the closest battles, still out on track right now, Cody Gibson and Ed Jurgen.
That's right, and while we were on replay, Dustin Ping came down pit road trying to undercut Greg. We'll see if this strategy plays out for the 81. Going to be getting off pit road right about now.
So now if you're Greg Mitchell, does that drag you down?
I think if you're Greg Mitchell, you're comfortable enough in the pace difference that you can run whatever strategy you want to run. I think before Greg had to check up for Casey Tomlinson, he had about 3.5 seconds on Dustin, and he didn't even get that gap in all that much time. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Greg. I think he's sitting pretty comfortable with the speed that he's got, that he can go out there and do whatever plan A was.
Well, it's going to take another minute or two to see the lap time difference between fresh tires and old tires out here this evening, but Greg Mitchell has a commanding lead of about 4.5 seconds over second place Matt Semple. Matt Semple has kind of been the driver that has run up inside the top 3 all night tonight, but we haven't said his name too much tonight. He's kind of been running in kind of in a space of his own.
Yeah, he's had a very quiet race so far, and you know, Matt Semple's a driver who I think we both expected would be looking a little better up to this point in the season, as we jump on with Mackenzie Milwain, who had an issue a little bit further back, so had some dirt on the tires, trying to merge back on track, and slid right into those tire barriers right there. Unfortunate for driver 21, but get another replay of it here. Yeah, tires just get a little wheel spin, high revs, dirt on the tires. That's gonna send you out of control.
He would have been fine if those tire barriers weren't there.
he would have. That's a good point.
But current top 5 right now as they run. Greg Mitchell, Matt Semple, Ed Jurgen, Cody Gibson, and Gary Bowman. That's your top 5. The first and only driver that we've seen on pit road for competitive service is Dustin Ping, who currently runs back in 14th place. Greg Mitchell just about at the start-finish line right now. Take a look and see where Dustin is across the track, and it looks like he is in turn number 7, about to enter the S's.
Yeah, and this is a great example of something we touched on earlier, Tom. When you're one of the race leaders, you don't know where you're going to come out of the pit lane unless you have someone there to help you. And Dustin came out of the pit road in a lot of traffic. And this isn't even lap traffic. This would be for position with drivers who just have not yet pit. What Dustin has to do is slow down his lap time, slow down his corners, back up his braking points, and take his time getting around these drivers, as we see Corey Sherman on pit road now. Dustin Ping's going to get slowed down quite a bit, and what that's going to do is negate that undercut with those fresh tires that he tried to pull on Greg Mitchell.
Greg Mitchell, Matt Semple, Ed Jurgen, that's currently your top 3. I think there's certainly no chance that we see these drivers run long to be in stage number 3 again. Stage number 2 concluding at the end of lap number 20. So in 2 laps, that's when these drivers will come across the line. And I would imagine that we will see the majority of the top 10 come down onto pit road at that time.
I would assume so as well. Try to lock in these stage points here. Greg Mitchell crosses the line and looks firmly in control of not only this race, but that truck as well. We got more drivers pulling on a pit road now. This is both 3rd and 4th place, and 5th place with Tanner Marr just behind. This is everyone in that line, just about.
This is everybody except, well, currently the top 3. Chris Mackey stays out. Chris Mackey is going to jump a couple of positions up here, but Greg Mitchell and Matt Semple were the first 2 drivers before this round of green flag pit stops out here. This is really going to shake up the possibility of earning stage points for these drivers.
It definitely is, having come down as they did. And I like what I'm seeing out of Greg Mitchell, Matt Semple, Chris Mackey, staying out that 1 extra lap. Not only is everybody pitting at the same time, which is pretty chaotic, but you're putting yourself in a better position fuel-wise. As we see an intense battle off pit road. Cody Gibson going to get the advantage.
Yellow line.
That's
Can't
right.
go over that yellow line or it will give you an unsafe pit exit, as now we see this group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers coming up the hill into turn number 1. But race leader and 2nd place, Greg Mitchell and Matt Semple on pit road at this time. Let's take a look and see where Dustin Ping is. Dustin is currently running in 4th. Looks like he's about 47 seconds back. I don't know if he's going to make up all 47 seconds on this round of pit stops out here, but
no, I don't think he will. And if anything, Tom, I wonder if Dustin Ping actually wound up running slower lap times due to the traffic than the lap times he was running before he came down pit road.
Greg Mitchell see the tires up and see the tires down for driver number 55. He's going to be on and off pit road in the 1st place position, followed by Matt Semple. Matt Semple looks like he is going to gain 1 position through that round of green flag pit stops for driver number 16 out here this evening, as we see 20 laps remaining in tonight's event.
20 laps remaining, and through that sequence, Matt Semple jumps ahead of Dustin Ping. Cody Gibson jumps ahead of Ed Jurgen. We've got Tanner Marr up to P6 ahead of Gary Bowman as well, a little further back.
Issues for Corey Sherman on the on turn 11 right there.
No kidding.
Another issue for Lee Campbell.
I think Lee had an issue earlier that led to not being able to turn on corner entry, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like Lee had quite a bit of damage on the right front of that truck. before they even entered the hairpin.
All right, let's take a look at Lee Campbell here. We're going to try to get a better look at Lee Campbell.
You can see he's missing a huge chunk of the right front of that truck. He hit Corey on the left front. So I wonder where that damage came from for driver number 60.
Well, I guess we'll try this one and see if this gives us a better look at it. Not really. I bet you there was contact. All right, we're gonna have to cheese this. Let's take another look here. Bet you there was contact between. And Lee Campbell comes through, and he's gonna get loose in turn number 10 and hit the actual inside.
Yeah, so what that did right there is that put the right front tire in a position where it wouldn't turn. Lee's not trying to get into Corey. Lee's trying to make the corner, but that tire, that entire wheel well was messed up enough from that. You could see him trying to turn, but that right front tire, just no input left.
Yeah, difficult situation for both Lee Campbell, and now that kind of puts into perspective what happened to Corey Sherman, right? I mean, Corey got tagged by the 60. I think at first I didn't really see that happen, but Corey got tagged by the 60 because of that damage. But difficult incident for those drivers. Lee Campbell currently on pit road, 24th on the board out here tonight, as he's gonna begin to make his way off of pit road here, hopefully in a few minutes, and begin to close out tonight's event.
Yeah, unfortunate for Lee, who was having a really solid night up to that point. We do, a little further back here, have Tanner Marr closing in on Ed Jurgen, as we see more issues for driver 17, Theodore Todorov, through the S's yet again. Just loses handle on it.
Oh, and that's a bad spot to be in. You see Dustin Ping coming through that little tight section of the S's. Not a very comfortable spot to be in, to sit sideways, but battles back up here. You started to allude to Tanner chasing down Ed Jurgen in that number 92 Jurgen's Lawn Care Chevy Silverado out there. Tanner's going to maybe take a look down to the inside, thinks better of it. Gary Bowman not too far behind.
Now, four trucks nose to tail, two different teams. We got Gibson and Marr for Five Kings. We've got Jurgen and Bowman for Lounge, and we got a little 2-on-2 team battle right here, as Gibson got the advantage in the Gibson and Marr, I should say, jumped up a position on that green flag pit sequence, but Ed Jurgen hasn't gone anywhere. He's putting the pressure on Gibson. He's got pressure from behind. Tanner wants that top 5 position, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a little bit of contact here between some of these guys.
Tanner Marr takes a little bit of an off-track excursion on the exit of turn number 10. That's going to open up the door for Gary Bowman on the inside of turn number 11. Looks like they're going to make their way through that tight turn 11 hairpin. Clean and fair. Gary Bowman now up to position number 6 on tonight's event as he chases down teammate Ed Jurgen.
Ed back to having a teammate protecting his rear bumper. That's going to make Ed feel a little bit better about going up there and trying to attack driver number 1 for position number 4. As we also can't forget that Dustin Ping has closed that gap to Matt Semple just a little bit. Though I think in recent laps, Matt Semple starting to pull that gap on Dustin just a little bit.
Yeah, last time by, Matt Semple and Dustin Ping were just about even on the timing charts. Matt Semple may have, or excuse me, Dustin Ping may have just been a half a tenth faster. But when you're talking about a minute and 16, 17, 18 second lap times out here, half a tenth is not a whole lot that will get you there.
Half a tenth is not very much, as Dustin Ping comes down for a second time this evening. This should be the final stop to the end for Dustin. However, Dustin is on a 2-stop strategy, Tom, and most of these other drivers are going to be making it on 1 stop. So from this point on to the rest of this race, Dustin has to go up there and pass drivers without relying on another pit sequence from most others.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question, right? I mean, Dustin just came down on pit road. Obviously, if everybody else stays on the 1 stop strategy out here, is there a scenario where that can work for Dustin?
I really don't like the position Dustin's in, if we're being honest. I think he you know, he put himself in this position with pitting that first time when he did. And I don't know. I don't like the spot, Tom. I don't like the position. I don't like having to go out there and make up all that time. Dustin even has a long pit stop at just under 20 seconds in the box. So a lot of work for Dustin to do. He comes out P11. He doesn't have that many drivers in front of him, though. He does have a big task ahead of him as well.
Well, all this is happening. Greg Mitchell has opened up about an 11-second gap between him and second place, Matt Semple, and third place. You got to look 30 seconds back to Ed Jurgen in this battle that just won't go away.
It won't.
Between these 4 or 5 drivers.
It won't. Ed just took third place right before we jumped over here, and now Gary looks to take fourth place from Cody Gibson. Is there going to be contact into the corner? Just avoided potentially. I don't know, that right rear quarter panel looks a little dented in right there. They all keep it going, but Gary Bowman follows teammate Ed Jurgen up to P4, and they're going to leave the Five Kings guys in the dust.
On board with Cody Gibson, driver number 1, winner last week at where did we race last week? New Hampshire. Did he win last week?
Cody Gibson, winner last week. Second.
Yes, he did. I don't even remember what date today is, Arie, let alone who won last week half the time. So, but on board with Cody Gibson, driver with 2 wins on the season out here so far. Having a solid run out here tonight. Started 6th on the board. No laps led or anything for Cody Gibson, but a solid top 5 going. And when you're talking about eliminating the win and in scenario that we've seen historically here at the Cyber Thunder Racing League, top 5s, top 3s, and wins, that'll get you into the playoffs.
Oh, it absolutely will. And while we're speaking about getting into the playoffs and all the points, I've noticed that Gary Bowman is so quick right now. He's going to take a look to the inside of teammate Ed Jurgen, try to get this pass done nice and early, as Tanner Marr made the spot around Cody Gibson, who continues to fall back. That puts Tanner Marr in the top 5. Gary Bowman up to P3, highest he's ran all night. And he's going to try and pull away from this battle as Tanner Marr sets his sights on Ed Jurgen for P4.
Drivers see 14 laps to go from Sonoma Raceway, and I think there's something about the power rankings that Tanner enjoys seeing his name in. You see Tanner right there in that beautiful red, white, and blue USAFirearms.com Chevy Silverado out here this evening working up through turns 2, 3, and 4 as they come down into the S's here in just a moment. Tanner Marr has got a story to tell in 25 Season 2.
He absolutely does. Last season, Tanner to the inside of Ed Jurgen. Contact, that's going to send the 92 sideways.
We just did it. Sorry, Ed.
We just did it.
Let's take another look here. We'll take a couple of looks at this incident, caught it live on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
Oh, Eric Anderson.
Eric Anderson also having a moment here. Let's take a look down onto the into the gearbox here as they enter the corner.
Yeah, battle for position. Tanner's got to take a little bit of a later braking line to get down in there, and that didn't even look like anything egregious from Tanner. That looked a lot like 2 cars going for the same real estate. Whether or not Ed was ready for a move right there, I'm not entirely sure, but that's a part of the track where you oftentimes see this exact thing happen, Tom. We've seen it in real life. We've seen it on the sim. This is the most common thing we see at Sonoma.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and cars just kind of going for the same real estate at the same time. See a little bit of right front tire lockup from the number 4, but Ed Jurgen gonna lose at least 1 spot through that incident. Let's also take a look at Eric Anderson. Eric
looks pretty good.
Fairly okay. Yeah, I was interested because he did hit him fairly well.
Yeah.
On the front there, but looks like he got out all right.
Yeah, hit him pretty square though, and maybe in just the right spot to kind of live to fight another day. And now Ed and Eric have each other for company there, and in their battle for P6. No real pressure from behind, nobody close in front of them either, so they can kind of work that through. But as we were saying with Tanner in the power rankings, he's been recharged. Last season, Tanner just barely gone into the playoffs with a win at Talladega, and this season looking to get himself in far ahead of time. Brad Holmes here in the 0-0. Some issues off track.
Yeah, difficult spot there for the double-double, but see Steven Music gets through there without any incident, but difficult spot to get loose on here.
It is. That looked like an early downshift gone wrong.
Oh, maybe that wasn't Steven Music. I thought it was. But oh, it was Steven Music. But yeah, you see him cut through the dirt there as drivers now see 12 laps remaining out here this evening, but it has been all Dustin Ping in stage 1 and Greg Mitchell in stage 2 and 3.
That has so far, and that crazy battle for P3 is started to settle out just a little bit. Gary Bowman holds on to third. Tanner Marr starting to try and close that gap down. They've got a gap. Dakota Gibson in fifth of about 5 seconds. So that big kerfuffle has sort of played itself out, and we can kind of see how everyone starts to tackle this final stretch, this final 11 laps to the finish. We got driver Lee Campbell in the chat. Driver of the 60 truck had that incident a little earlier. Too much damage to continue, the crew chief says. Has to pull it back behind the wall for an unfortunate end to tonight's event for Mr. Campbell.
It's really unfortunate for Lee, and kind of just one of those things, right? I mean, you just... we've seen a lot of drivers get loose out here tonight, and some of them get away with it, some of them not get away with it, just depending on if there's a wall where they're spinning. And unfortunately for Lee, he did make contact with the wall and banged up that right front tire, which ultimately did result in contact between him and the number 3 of Corey Sherman. But tough break for Lee Campbell, who currently sits 26th on pit road right now, and that, I assume, is where he will finish tonight's race.
More than likely, as we continue to watch this battle for P6 on the track, Ed Jurgen holding on ahead of Eric Anderson. Both of these drivers having a really solid start to 2025 too. Eric has stepped it up in a big way in terms of where he's running in the points. He got that win in Daytona, and while Ed hasn't gotten that win, that ever-elusive victory, Ed has, as always, been running fairly consistent and pretty solid, getting some points here and there, getting some solid finishes, and surviving for the most part. Currently, the closest battle on track is the battle for P6 between these two drivers. Up to this point, as we sit with 10 laps remaining, our biggest mover on track remains Jaden Wicks up 9 positions to the 17th position. And the driver who has fallen the worst is driver 60, Lee Campbell, with that wreck a little bit early on. It looks like we might have had an incident with Carter Lawson here. Issues for driver 98. Going through the off-road section right there. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Stop and go to prevent a black flag. That left front is raised up off of the track.
Yeah, something doesn't look right with that 98 truck as he comes down onto pit road after that incident there.
I tell you what, we might have a better angle of it right here. We can't get this. Oh wow! That's,
oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my! He's got all the groceries in the passenger seat of that truck.
He does. Okay, let's see one more time, one more attempt. See if we can't figure this out here for. Oh my!
Oh, we're already bros.
How long was Carter driving this truck? Oh my goodness! This is the. Oh my God! He drove this truck all the way around the track.
Flip over.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like he drove over something on the highway, got it lodged under the axle, and he's just dragging it with him the whole time. Can't even turn.
And you see him taking wide turns there for driver 98. But issues for Carter Lawson, who has made his way somehow to pit road. Currently 23rd on the board. While that is happening, Greg Mitchell has opened up now a 20-second lead over second place Matt Semple. Arie.
That sounds like the Greg Mitchell I know. And look at this. Battle for P3 starting to heat up, Tom. Tanner Marr has something for Gary Bowman. Has Tanner watched out for those tires just a little bit better, or is Gary starting to go into more of a management mode to get to the end?
So Gary Bowman last came down on pit road on lap number 21. That was the same time that Tanner Marr came down on pit road. Everybody has come down on pit road lap number 21 or 22, with the exception of Dustin Ping, who came down on lap number 26. So these drivers are on equal tires out here tonight. Let's take, or at least for this run, take a look at the lap time history between, let's try that. There we go. Between Gary Bowman and Tanner Marr, you can see the lap time history. Green is faster for Tanner, and red is faster for Gary in this view.
Yeah, you can see how Tanner was closing in that gap. Most of it done on lap 30 with half a second, just over half a second improvement. Another about 0.3 improvement. But Gary pulled ahead just a little bit that last time. We'll see if Tanner can respond right here. And, you know, a lot of times, Tom, this is the name of the game with road course racing, even more so than oval racing, is lap to lap time difference. There's so much more of a difference as we see.
Big moments for Logan Spencer.
Yeah, huge incident. These drivers got to make their way around without any cautions on the track. But as I was saying, these lap-to-lap differences make all the difference on a road course versus an oval. You know, you have one lap where you're 0.5 better, you have another lap where you're even, you have another lap where you're 0.4 worse. So makes a big difference, and it's a lot of those kind of lap-to-lap games.
We'll see what they are as they come across the stripe this time by. They obviously had to deal with the number 19 sitting sideways in the S's. A little bit faster for Gary Bowman that last time by. Results may be skewed a little bit on that most recent lap, but now drivers see 7 laps remaining. Tanner Marr putting the heat on the back bumper of the number 8, one of the closest battles for position on track. They're going to have a lap vehicle of, is that Leroy Koblenz in front of them?
It is.
Not too far off in the distance, and it looks like they're going to be catching him in the S's here, Arie. This could be a moment for Tanner Marr to take advantage of.
It absolutely can, and one thing I've noticed, Tom, is Tanner's closed in through the first part of this lap. He's gone to the bumper. Tanner is so much better in the first half of the lap, but where Gary has the advantage is in the second half. When we're going up the hill, Tanner's got it figured out. When we're coming down the hill, Gary has the advantage. We'll see if Tanner can stay close enough through his weak point, which is this part of the track right here.
He had a good turn 10 there.
If he stays close enough and we get to that first section, he's going to have a great shot.
Gary Bowman plays a little bit of a defensive line there as Tanner Marr throws it down into the corner. No contact between the number 4 and the number 8. Clean through turn 11 in the tight, slow corner of the hairpin in turn 11. Now up through the hills of turn 1. Where are they going to catch Leroy at? They're not really catching him here.
It's a great question, Tom, and I'm wondering the same as well. Leroy seems keen on running about as good as he can. He is already a lap down because, of course, these are not the race leaders. But Leroy's just kind of running his race, and he has the prerogative to do so. He's got, you know, Dwayne Young about 3 seconds ahead to chase down. And, issues for Dwayne Young. That's going to be for position between those two. Leroy almost gets collected in that one.
Take a look at Dwayne Young. We saw it on the outskirts of the camera frame, and he just hits the outside retaining wall there for the number 48. Take a closer look.
Just gets clipped.
Bam.
Goes right around. Surprised the damage wasn't worse.
I'm surprised we don't see that more often, Arie. That's all the drivers love to use the runoff here in that corner. And somehow they always make their way back out onto the track.
You got a great point, you know, and I'm one of those drivers who always cuts that extremely close. So the fact that it doesn't happen more often is pretty interesting. But here we go through the hairpin another time, and across the stripe, it's 5 laps to go. And Tanner Marr still putting the pressure on Gary Bowman for P3. Which driver walks out with an interview tonight? That's what we're finding out.
Oink if you love bacon. That's what Gary Bowman says right now. But Tanner Marr all up on the back of that number 8. The back bumper massage being given by Tanner Marr as they come up through the hills through turns 3 and 4. They're going to be making their way down to the start of the S's here. Where is Tanner's best opportunity to pass here, Arie?
It's a great question. Being that Tanner's strength is the first half
might
of
be
the
right
lap,
here.
it's right here. It is genuinely right here because on the second half of the lap, Gary's got the advantage, and the second half of the lap gets you to the hairpin, which is the best passing opportunity. So a lot of times you want the second half of the lap to be your preferred, but you do still have a chance if you're Tanner. And Gary gets his elbows out to defend that position. That was a job well done by
yeah.
Mr. Bowman.
I was going to say that looked a little defensive by Gary Bowman, but with 4 laps to go, you got to be defensive. You got to protect a top 3 finish.
You absolutely do.
You and I saw the same exact thing with Gary Bowman throttling up to protect that position, and he's going to carry that position through turn 11, through the hairpin, as these drivers are now going to see 4 laps to go in tonight's race from the Bear Flag Rebellion.
And one thing I've noticed is one of Tanner's biggest weaknesses is getting out of the hairpin. He often kicks the rear end of that truck out. That's going to be hard on those rear tires, and you're going to lose a little bit of time. That's not the first time that we've seen that. And now Tanner has a little more work to make up as more issues for Tiro Todorov, driver of the 17.
Same exact spot as before.
Yep, a lot of drivers having issues with the exit of the hairpin this evening.
Again, gets very lucky not to the inside of the pit wall down there, and he's going to be able to get that truck pointed in the right direction. Maybe just a little bit of heat in those tires before they come up. Gary Bowman has opened up, we'll call it about a second lead over 4th place Tanner Marr right now. So a little bit of breathing room right now for Gary Bowman.
That he does, and a little further back, no look now, but there's a battle for P5. Cody Gibson, Ed Jurgen, Eric Anderson. Now Gibson has either fallen back to these two, or these two have caught Gibson, but Ed Jurgen not wasting any time. Diving down to the inside makes Gibson take a defensive line. They've all got to get out of that hairpin, and Eric Anderson looks quick, so don't count on Eric either for this P5 spot, Tom.
Drivers making their way around Casey Tomlinson as they come through turn number 12 here, if there is a turn number 12. It's across the start-finish line, up through the hills. You hear the gear shifts that they're working through as Ed's going to get a little bit wide there on the exit turn number 1. That's going to open up the opportunity for Eric Anderson to close up on the back of this number 92 of Ed Jurgen. Down through 3 and 4. Does Eric take a look? No, not yet. There's a lap car on the inside. Looks like Leroy Koblenz has a little bit of damage on the left front there, but this battle is a great battle going on now for a top 5 position out here this evening.
Great battle indeed, and I mean, we're jumping back and forth all the time, but Tanner Marr won't give up. He's caught the back of Gary Bowman yet again. 3rd place is not decided as we are on the penultimate lap. We're going to come around to make it 1 lap to go. I do believe, unless Greg is far enough ahead that he already took 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I do think that is that's what's happening here. These drivers are going to take their 2 laps to go out here, and Greg Mitchell next time by, when he comes across the start-finish line, Greg already working his way through. Is this the S's up here? Yep. We'll see the white flag next time by, but Tanner Marr about as close as he's been through the past 5 or 6 laps, all up on the back bumper of that number 8 truck.
All right, Tom, I'm going to ask you the question. If you're Tanner Marr, you've tried and tried and tried. If you get the opportunity, are you going to give Gary a little bump? Maybe not wreck him, but are you going to start using that bumper?
It depends on where we're at. Maybe into like turn 1 or something, or maybe into a corner that it's not going to send Gary around. We kind of play fair or foul on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. It's fair if you just touch them and move them. It's foul if you touch them and spin them.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and Tanner had a hard time getting through the S's right there, has been his weak spot up to this point. He's going to have 1 more lap to make a run as Greg Mitchell has taken the white flag and now finds himself at the top of the hill, starting to make his way on down. Greg Mitchell, a fantastic performance, and with that, will be on his way to make it 4 for 4 in his road course endeavors here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League.
Yeah, as Greg Mitchell comes through, what a great run for the number 55. Every time we come to a road course, I was really kind of caught off guard by the first stage where Dustin Ping pulled away from Greg Mitchell, but that did not set the stage for stage 2 and 3. Greg Mitchell took control of this race at the end of stage number 1 and is going to get race win number 3 of the season out west at the Bear Flag Rebellion 200 from Sonoma Raceway.
Greg Mitchell, your winner tonight, 3rd on the season, gets it done, 4th road course victory out of 4 attempts in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, and puts himself 1 spot closer to tying the record of most in a row, as Tanner Marr getting sideways trying to chase down Gary Bowman, this being the battle for P3. Matt Semple comfortably in 2nd place across the line. Tanner's only got the hairpin remaining. There's 1 lap truck in the way.
It's going to be good. What do you do with the lap truck here, Arie? This is going to be close between Tanner Marr and Gary Bowman.
And
a little bit of contact down there.
Pushes him out of the way. Tanner Marr to 2nd place. Gary's there on the inside. Through we go. Is Gary going to lean on Tanner? No. A little bit to the line. Give it to Tanner. I do believe just edging out Gary. What a fantastic run to the line, Tom. And I think this fits as fair under your definition from earlier.
I would say so. I mean, it was very close between these 2 drivers. A little bit of contact down there. Everybody comes out the other side. And you can see Gary Bowman there holding on to what he thought was going to be a 3rd place finish out here tonight, but Tanner Marr steals it at the last possible second as other drivers begin to complete their races out here tonight. See Mike Stiverson. Think everybody has probably crossed the start-finish line, but Greg Mitchell is the big winner out here this evening in the Bear Flag Rebellion 200 from Sonoma Raceway. Greg Mitchell, win number 3 of the season.
Win number 3 of the season. Mr. Mitchell is he's trying to make a statement. Greg has had championship level speed for the 2 previous seasons he's been in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, but he doesn't have a championship to his name, and this season is a big opportunity for driver 55 to stamp his names in the history books for good. And I do believe this I'm gonna get a double check on this, but I want to say this is his 15th win in the Cyber Thunder Racing League.
Well, we're gonna take a quick look out here and see if we can't confirm that. But Arie, what do you say we go a little bit sideways on the finishing results out here tonight? Greg Mitchell, win number 3 of the season, 4 for 4 on road courses out here this evening from Sonoma Raceway. Greg, how you doing? It's Arie and Tom up here in the booth.
Hey, thanks. Doing well. A lot better now. So thank you very much.
Well, you had a great qualifying effort. Started on the pole out here tonight. Talk us through kind of stage number 1, where Dustin Ping, at times maybe even stretched a little bit of a gap on you there for the race lead, and then on lap number 11 to be in stage number 2, you found some speed in that 55 and you took the race lead and you never looked back.
Yeah, I was just kind of trying to save my tires a little bit. Dustin got a good jump at the start. I chose the right side, hoping I could at least be on his outside going into the first right-hander. He was able to stick it pretty good, so I didn't push it. It was the first corner, so I just let him go and then hope to get him later. Lap, I don't know, 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there, I clipped the inside of turn 11 and jacked up my steering, so I was probably 10 degrees to the left for the rest of the race. I just barely touched it and messed up my steering pretty good, so it took me a few laps to kind of dial in the adjustments there, and it wasn't quite as fast, but it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I just kind of bided my time a little bit, saved, and hope Dustin made a mistake. He broke loose coming off, I forget which corner it was, just broke loose just enough, and I was able to get to his inside, and then I was able to kind of run my own race. But yeah, Dustin was running really well. He was fast.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of drivers having the issues with the turn 11 hairpin down there. Now, not to bring this back to sim racing, Greg, but Sonoma Raceway recently rescanned. What kind of challenges did you experience out here this evening on this newly scanned Sonoma Raceway versus maybe what you're accustomed to on the old Sonoma Raceway?
I think it felt pretty much the same. I guess my biggest problem was the line of sight in turn 11. So apparently I can't see the wall, but I could see the tires beforehand. So I guess that was my biggest issue. But other than that, it raced pretty similar. A couple eye candy things that they changed. But yeah, handling wise, it felt pretty much like I've run it in the past.
Well, Greg, we were talking before the race out here tonight, and you held up your record of 4 for 4 wins in Cyber Thunder Racing League history. 4 road course races, 4 road course wins. You'll have the opportunity to go for number 5 in just a couple of weeks when we go to Watkins Glen, and then later in the season when we go to the Charlotte Roval back here in the Tuesday Night Thunder Championship Truck Series. But Greg, gonna open up the floor for you. Anybody you want to thank, say hello to on that number 55 red and white Chevy Silverado?
Yeah, well, thanks, Tom. There's a lot of good drivers out here, so to go 4 for 4 is pretty awesome. So many things can go wrong on road courses, so I'll definitely take that. But thanks to you guys for all you do in the booth and for all the eye candy you've added to the booth. It looks awesome to the broadcast. I mean, thanks to Eric for sponsoring tonight, and a shout out to my family who's always watching.
All right, well, there is Greg Mitchell, the race winner out here tonight, 3rd win of the season, and comes out here and going to extend his points lead, as I believe Arie has made a request, and Arie has requested Tanner Marr as our next podium finisher out here this evening.
That's absolutely right. We've got finisher of the podium, P3, Tanner Marr, driver of the 4. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That was an insane run to the line, Tanner, where we thought you had given Gary all you had, and lo and behold, you had one last opportunity to just bump him out of the way a little bit. You didn't wreck him. You rattled his cage successfully, and you got there at the line. So walk us through that exciting finish, Tanner, but more broadly as well, just the race and the challenges that it presented.
Hail Mary. I mean, that was it. Hail Mary. I don't even like doing that, right? But I saw the way the lap cars played out, and I felt like I was faster than Gary, but just so hard to pass. Just could never, ever get the power down enough, and he was so fast too, right? I'm wore out. I am absolutely wore out. I don't think I've ever truly said it after a sim race, and I've said it the last 2 weeks that I'm wore out. Like, these cyber races, this is good cardio. Absolutely good cardio.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. You've been on a roll. You've been on a tear, climbing the points, climbing the power rankings. It's been a big motivator, and it did come up earlier in the race. You know, the difference in driver number 4 this year this season, I should say, as opposed to the last season. You know, last season you spent a majority of the season kind of, on the back foot. You had to win your way into the playoffs, and you were just kind of scraping by. But it's a totally different story this season. Kind of walk us through that.
Motivation. I heard it from you one time, and we've been practicing since then. Now, will this storybook run I'm on right now, will it continue? Probably not, right? I'm just riding the highs as they're here, but we are practicing more, and we're last season we're more about having fun, but this season we're absolutely trying to get after it and trying to be better, trying to be better, trying to perform better. This is a tough series to walk away with a top 10. I know I'm telling you this, you won all the time, right? But for us normals, walking away with
I did not.
Right. Well, you're a normal, right? You're like the rest of us. For us out here in the normal world, a top 5 means a ton to us, and to rattle off 2 of them in a row, that's huge for me. It's good for the confidence. I will say that.
Absolutely. Well, you've got a lot of momentum on your side as we get ready to hit the mid-season stretch here. And I believe, do we have Chicago next? That's one of the races coming up pretty quick. So as we get into that mid-season stretch, you got the first road course of the season done. You've got some more traditional tracks to look forward to. You think you can keep this up? I'm
hopeful. Got the fingers crossed. I want to say sorry to Ed. I know I've already messaged him, but I got into him. I heard his finish. I think he had an easy top 3 or top 4, top 5 finish for sure. I got into him, so I hate that happened there. So do want to send apologies out to him. I already wrote him, said I know you owe me one. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't expect much, but I'm hoping and praying the run continues.
All right. Well, congratulations again on a P3 run there to the line. I'll open up the floor to you to any shout-outs, thank yous, anything you want to give.
We've already been long. I'll say shout out to CM Raps painting me this truck. Cody Chris Mackey, Cody Gibson, Larry Bell, Five Kings, and Ray CPI. And of course, got to thank y'all too. I know y'all would rather be racing out here beating and banging with us, but instead you're calling to action. So we do appreciate it more than y'all two will ever know.
Sounds good. Well, congratulations again, Tanner. There was your P3 finisher, and that brings us to P2, driver of the 16. I think Tom is caught up with.
That brings us to our second place finisher out here tonight. Quiet night, and sometimes a quiet night is good enough for second place. Matthew Semple comes home with a second place finish on the podium out here tonight. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing okay. We kind of followed these 42 laps of racing through the first road course event of the season. Kind of bring us through your race through the stages. Saw a couple of different pit strategies, some two pits, some one pits. Were you committed to a one pit from the word go out here tonight, or did you kind of come in with maybe an open mind as to what your strategy was?
Kind of came in with an open mind. Brad, Logan, Jaden, and I were talking kind of strategy as we were in the grid there. But once I kind of found myself in second place there, I figured it was probably best to do whatever the leader did. And then when he pit, I just followed him in there.
Now, Matt, I don't have your road course stats in front of me out here tonight, but a second place on a road course at Sonoma. You came in here tonight 10th in points, just on the outskirts of the playoffs. Gotta be feeling okay with a second place finish out here this evening. Gonna be maybe making your way into the playoffs maybe a little bit more soundly as we go into next week at Chicagoland.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all kind of know whenever there's a road course and Greg Mitchell's running, it's pretty much a battle for second place there. So I I just wanted to have a super clean race and just make sure, I try to execute my lines the best I could and not mess up on pit road and or on the track. So just, head down, try to be really focused on executing those lines and try to navigate lap traffic correctly. And wound up second. It's great.
Well, you come out of here with a truck that looks pretty clean for Sonoma standards. Don't really see any scratches on that truck. Next week we got Chicagoland, and then we got the world famous Dover Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks. Any of these next tracks in the next segment got your eye on them, and think maybe we'll see Matt Semple contending for a victory up there again.
I feel pretty good on any mile and a halfs, really. Dover is kind of a toss up there. I think in the race in the last season there, we were at Dover. Whoa.
We don't talk about Dover last season.
Yeah, I think I ran pretty decent there. So I mean, should have a strong showing the next couple weeks here. Just got to keep clicking off stage points and qualifying well, so then you don't have to make your way up through the field during those stages. So if you can qualify well, stay up front. I mean, that's the main goal here, and hopefully we can do that.
Well, you ran a great race out here tonight. Started third on the board, finishing second. A solid podium out here tonight, out west from Sonoma Raceway. Matt Semple, we're going to open up the floor for anybody you want to thank. Say hello to inside that number 16 truck. Coming home second place out here tonight. The floor is all yours, sir.
I'd like to thank you, Tom and Arie, for doing the broadcast. It's always great to go back and watch. You guys both do a wonderful job, and it's always fun. I'd like to thank Alto Construction for sponsoring me this season. If you need any construction work around the Orangeville, Ontario area, they're your guys. I'd like to thank my friends and family for watching, co-workers, and I'd like to thank my wife and my daughter for letting me do this.
All right. Well, second place finisher out here tonight is Matt Semple, driver number 16. Gonna kick him out of here and let him go debrief with his team as these drivers make their way out of Sonoma Raceway. Arie, we saw a whole lot of fun racing out here tonight from Sonoma Raceway, a track that is very difficult and proves a lot of challenges for these drivers.
That's absolutely right. We saw a pretty difficult challenge tonight, and the way that everything kind of settled by the end of the race was, we had some surprises, but we also had some more kind of confirmations. We were starting to wonder, is this the season of Cody Gibson? Is he going to come in here and get in the way of Greg Mitchell's first or next big championship opportunity. But Greg comes out here and licks the stamp and sends it to victory lane. Matt Semple, who's had a rough start to the season, walks home with a really solid second place. There's storylines to be had everywhere you look. A couple new drivers who joined us tonight. One of them, Peter, finishing in the top 10. So all sorts of things to keep track of, all sorts of things to keep your eyes on. And I think we've got a really, really exciting rundown of storylines and of everything just kind of building up for this mid-season stretch.
We really do. Next week, we're going to be at Chicagoland. First time that Cyber Thunder Racing League has been back there in a couple of seasons. We've got Dover following that. And then we've got the great unknown of Atlanta Super Speedway. You got 3 very different styles of tracks coming up here.
Absolutely, you do. And I love when the schedule gives us a very, high level of variation from one week to the next. We go, from New Hampshire to Sonoma to Chicago to Dover to Atlanta Super Speedway. I think it's really nice when you get these kind of back and forth challenges and you don't get too much of the same thing. Keeps these drivers on their toes and really, lets us see who the best of the best really are.
Well, one thing is for sure, we do not know what's going to happen over these next 3 weeks, but out here this evening, 42 laps done and out of the way from Sonoma Raceway, Greg Mitchell comes away with race win number 3 of the season at Sonoma Raceway, driver number 55. Matt Semple and Tanner Marr, we just spoke to them in the post-race showdown out here this evening. Gary Bowman, what could have been a podium finish for driver number 8 out there this evening out of Lounge Racing, comes home just short of a podium. Cody Gibson, Ed Jurgen, Dustin Ping led a bunch of laps. In stage number 1, Chris Mackey had a solid top 10 out here tonight, followed by Corey Sherman and Peter Renegar.
In 11th place, it's going to be Philip Van Vliet for TNA Motorsports, followed by Brad Holmes, double-double in 12th place. Mike Stuyvesant having a solid result tonight in the 20, trying to shake some of that bad luck. Jaden Wicks was our biggest mover of the evening, comes home in 14th position, ahead of Larry Bell in 15th. Leroy Koblenz, driver of the 42, brings us home in 16th. We've got Jason Raymond, new driver to Cyber, in P17. Amanda Sherman in the War Wagon brings us home 18th, ahead of Steven Music at 19th. And Eric Anderson, who had a fantastic run until a late race crash with a few laps to go, relegates him to P20.
And a couple of incidents we saw for the number 17 of Theodore Todorov out here tonight. Turn 11 was a trouble spot for driver number 17. Comes home 21st out here this evening in front of Casey Tomlinson, 6 laps down to that number 52 Chevy Silverado that Casey drives out here tonight. Dwayne Young also had a moment. Carter Lawson, we saw him limping along the entire track out here tonight. Logan Spencer comes home in 25th place, followed by Lee Campbell, Mackenzie Milwain, and rounding out the field of 30 drivers, 28th and 29th was Dave Gainforth and Andy Cork. Well,
Tom, there is our 6th race done. 6th race has come and gone. The season is starting to fly by, if you ask me, and I'm looking forward to what next week presents. I think we've got a really interesting title battle that's starting to kind of form. I think Mitchell, Gibson are the top 2, but I think we've got quite a shakeup for that kind of 3rd and 4th name. We might see some names we're not used to seeing kind of go up there and challenge.
We really do, and with 3 very different style of tracks coming up in the next 3 different weeks, we will see who comes out on top at Chicagoland next week, followed by Dover, followed by Atlanta Super Speedway. But here from Sonoma Raceway, it's all Greg Mitchell out here this evening from the left and the right turns of Sonoma Raceway. Arie, we're going to be back live here tomorrow night from
Kansas, I believe.
They're at Kansas out there tomorrow night in the Frigga Racing League. We will be back live tomorrow. Make sure, if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that bell. Get notified every single time we go live out here. And man, I can't wait to see you next week at Chicagoland.
Sounds like a plan. I'll see you there. And for all of you out there watching, buckle up. The mid-season's coming.